Hi everybody. One of the biggest mistakes a book flipper can make is starting to try to flip books on Amazon without really understanding Keepa charts. That can certainly lead to some frustration, confusion, and ultimately some bad buys. In this video, we're going to work on fixing that. Hi, if you're new, welcome. I'm Victor with Master Book Flippers. I've been flipping used books on Amazon using the online book arbitrage business model since 2017. Myself and my team literally review thousands of Keepa charts each and every week. And in this video, I'm going to show you my recommended setup, how to read and navigate the Keepa chart so you can have a better understanding and a good foundation when we graduate from reading the Keepa charts to actually making really good buying decisions based in part because of the Keepa charts. All right, what is Keepa? Are there any alternatives? What's the difference between the free and the paid plan? So I'll go over that briefly. So Keepa is basically a company out of Germany that supplies software for Amazon sellers that gives a history of sales ranks, number of offers that are available, and pricing in all different things like the new price, the used price, and for used books, we've got different conditions of books, right? And it'll track some of that too. So that's basically what it does and why we want to use it. Long and short of it, we want to make better buying decisions, and Keepa is going to be a part of that. Now, if you're on the free version of Keepa versus the paid, this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is the exact same book in the exact same time frame, and you can see the big difference, right? And we'll get into this a little bit more. Now, as far as alternatives, I'm not even going to get into them. There's something called Camel. There might be a few others, but nobody really pays much attention to them. In terms of flipping used books, if you really want the best information, you're going to have to use Keepa. All right, so how do we access Keepa? Now, you can go to keepa.com and just use it on the web. There's nothing really to download, but what most people do and what you really need to do is you need to install the extension on your browser. So they've got a Chrome extension. They also have one for Firefox, and they work very similarly. So you would just go to your store, sign up, install it on your browser, and you'll be all set. Okay, once you have Keepa set up and you have the paid version on your browser, you're going to want to not start using it. You're going to want to make sure that your settings are correct. So over a lot of experience, the settings that I recommend, let's jump in. Here's what you need to do.
After installing the Keepa Chrome extension, scroll down on the Amazon listing until you see the price history chart, then click on the Settings tab to open Keepa Settings. In Keepa Settings, we'll focus on chart appearance and add-on settings, skipping tracking and data options for now, since we're mainly adjusting the chart display. To start fresh, click on Reset Settings to default. If this is a new install, it should already be set, but resetting won't hurt. Next, under Chart Appearance, select the Year option to view price data over the past year. There's times where you'll want to adjust this, but for now year works well. In the add-on settings, set the Keepa box horizontal size to full window width for the best chart display across your browser window. Finally, this one is important. Make sure display stock quantity on offer listing pages is set to yes. There is no save button, so once you make these changes, the settings will take effect after you reload the page. And you'll be all set to start using the Keepa chart more effectively.
And we've got a free guide for you, the Keepa chart cheat sheet. You're not going to want to miss out. Really good stuff regarding the Keepa chart. It'll be in the link below for free. Check it out. All right, now there's two ways you can access the Keepa chart. So first, as we talked about on the Amazon listing, so if we're in the Master Book Flipper software and we click on Amazon, we'll get to the listing itself. And then, of course, if you scroll down, there will be your Keepa chart. What I like to do and what I prefer, and I think most people do this using our software, is we're going to click on Keepa, and this will open up slightly quicker, and it's really just gives you a focus on one thing that you want to look at is the Keepa chart. All right, now we did the settings, but regardless of how you did the settings, I'm not quite sure what yours will look like. So I'm just kind of going to display everything for you and kind of break it down for you so you know what you need, what you don't need, and how to turn things on and off. So we're going to focus in on, first of all, you see that I have basically three charts here, right? We've got the top chart, the middle chart, and the bottom chart. So let's talk about the middle chart first. So the middle chart really displays the sales rank of books, not only in the overall books category, but also in subcategories. I don't really think it's very helpful, and it really mimics a lot what you see on the top chart. So I'm going to tell you, you're better off just disabling it. How do we do that? There's two ways you can do that. First of all, you can go down here on the bottom and click on graph settings, and you can turn this off, uncheck it, and it'll disappear. You just click out. Or you can just click on this sub ranks up here and it'll turn it on and off. But I'm going to leave that off. So let's start with that. So you should see two. Now, what about this bottom graph? So this bottom graph, we definitely want it on. So we're going to click on graph settings, and that's the offer counts and ratings. So you can check or uncheck that, but it should be checked. You definitely want to look at that, have it enabled. Okay. Now, all right, let's focus on the right side of the chart. You see a lot going on here. Let's do the bottom chart first. First of all, I recommend on the bottom chart, by the way, so when you click on any of these, it will toggle it on or off, the element or the line. So on the bottom chart, you can see I've got this black one enabled. If I just click it, then it doesn't show us anything. For books, and I know this definitely is not true for private label, but for books, generally speaking, we don't really care about the rating of the book, okay? That'll be baked into the sales, whatever. We don't really care about ratings. So let's just leave those off. But if you wanted to look at them, you could look at them there, okay? And then you've got new offer count and used offer count. You definitely want the used offer count because that's what we're flipping, but on occasion you also want to look at the new offer count. But for simplicity's sake, I'm going to recommend starting off with it disabled. So in this example, you'll just be it'll look like this. Now you've got a lot going on here for the top chart, right? A lot of different things. So let me go over them. Let me disable them all for you, first of all. Maybe I should have started that. And we'll have nothing at all. All right, so what ones do we need? Let's start at the top. So this is one of the things that you get with the paid version that you don't have on the free version is a sales rank, okay? And so when we click on that, we can see that's what the green line represents, is the sales rank. And where do we get the sales rank? Over here. If you scroll to the bottom, you will see the sales rank over here on all books, right? And this is the number that is being reflected today as I make this video, the bestseller rank, okay? So that number, 498,000, should show up over here somewhere. And there it is, okay? That's what it is today. So what Keepa really does is it just looks at the sales rank over time, and then it creates the pattern. So not to get into it too much in this video, but it's really important to understand. Don't talk to me about the sales rank. The sales rank is really garbage as far as I'm concerned. Let me be clear. It is the sales rank pattern, and which shows you sales that have happened over time. Okay, the sales rank on one day could be, the other day on August 19th, whatever, it was 289,000, and today it's nearly 500,000. But those numbers don't matter. What does matter is just seeing the general gist of what's going on with the book, and that's what the sales pattern will tell you over time. So this book has lost a little bit of demand over time, and we can tell that by looking at the green line. And by the way, let me jump into it a little. It is important. The sales rank pattern or line is really what I should say. The sales rank line is what's important. So if you look at these lines, when you see it go down substantially, that was most likely a sale. Okay, so you could see a bunch of sales going on. And Keepa, not to get into it too much in this beginner video, but it's never going to be, it's not perfect. Okay, the data is not perfect, and that's okay. We don't need perfection. Okay, but generally speaking, when you see the line go down a lot, it is that means it's a sale. Now let's talk one more thing about the sales rank. And by the way, I probably went too fast. If you want to get back to where you were, you just double click anywhere in here, and now it's back to a year. If you remember earlier, I recommend setting it up for a year, so that's why it defaults to a year, or you can click on 3 months or whatever. But I'm going to keep it at year, and to zoom in, so to speak. And this is what you want to be doing. You don't want to be just looking at the Keepa chart without manipulating it. Okay, manipulating it means zooming in, zooming out, things like that. So I zoomed in. If I wanted to see what happened on June 17th, I can look over here, zoom in with my mouse. Here's June 17th, and I could see looks like there was a sale at 11:02 p.m. Okay, and this is military time too, by the way. If you didn't know that, that's what that means. When you see it at 1945 is 7:45 p.m. Okay, we don't really need to get into those details, but just so you know, that's what it means. Now, the numbers on the right correspond really to the sales rank we're talking about. So you cannot manipulate these numbers. So right now it goes from 100,000 to 250,000, but if you change the way in which the Keepa chart is presented, let's look at a year. Now you can see it change. Not a year, all 530 days for this book, which have been tracked. Now you can see that the scale on the right has changed, and probably on the left, though the left isn't showing yet, and we'll get to that in a moment. Now, one other thing I want to show you. Let's go into year. The other thing you can do, and most people probably not even aware of this, but you see this 9 to 1, 1 to 9. You can click that, and what it does is it flips it over, okay? And this will give you a different perspective on the Keepa chart. Most people don't look at the Keepa chart like this. I actually do have some customers that do that, and they say, hey, it makes sense because now when you see it jump up, that means that there was a sale, right? So you can see the sales rank goes from low to high if you have it set like this. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it like that. The reason I think most people do it this way is that's the default. That's how people have been trained and know and see YouTube videos, etc. So we're going to keep it like that, 9 to 1. Okay, but just so you know, if you think your chart looks like this, that's why. Just click it and it'll reverse it. Okay. All right, so that's a really important thing you want to have is the sales rank on there. Okay, so let's keep that enabled. Now you have all these other ones. The buy box, that I wish it would say new buy box. That's what it is. It is the new buy box. You can click that if you want. You don't really need that though. What you do probably need though is Amazon. So this is Amazon's price. Now in this video, we're not going to get into a lot of details on how to interpret the Keepa chart, right? That's important, right? Let's learn how to read it, then interpreting it. We'll have that in another video, which will be really important. But let's make sure you got this down pat first. Okay, so that's what this tells you is the Amazon price. And you can just hover over it and it's showing you the Amazon price. And over here on the left, that's what these numbers represent. Dollar amounts for prices of, whatever condition you have it in here. All right, and the same thing is that this will change as the data changes. So if I click all, now it goes, it's still 30 to 42. But it's important to know that, right? Don't just look at the Keepa chart and say, oh my God, this book went down quite a lot from 39 to 31. Well, it looks like quite a lot. I mean, it's $7, whatever. But just be aware, always look at the scale that's over here on the left. That'll give you a better indication of exactly what's going on. All right, so we've got the Amazon, we've got the new price. So the new price, somebody's selling it less than Amazon usually, unless maybe Amazon's the only one on the listing. And then the other one we want is, let's do used. So this is an important one, this black line. I'm going to shut off this one. I'm going to shut off Amazon so we can kind of pay attention to it. So it's important to understand that the black line is the lowest used price without shipping. Okay. Doesn't mean that, in this book, this was, what was this? Yeah, this was the lowest ever. So as I make this video, the price is as low as it's ever been. But that price, again, let's put an asterisk. That just means that it is the lowest price without shipping. But so what Keepa does, it just looks at the lowest price and then it kind of connects the dots and gives us a graph over time. Okay, but it's really important to have that enabled. Next, let's talk about the used buy box. So when you click on this is who had the used buy box. Now this data again isn't perfect, right? There could have been a used buy box in these days and you just don't see it. But the purple represents the used buy box, okay? And that will be on the listing itself. Let's scroll up. That would be this number here. Somebody has the used buy box at $29.20. It actually happens to be Amazon. And so that's what that represents. Really important as well. And then we have these other ones, right, in conditions, right? And we've got used, acceptable, very good. And you could actually have them all enabled if you wanted to. The better thing, well, there's a pro and con to using these. Let me give you the pro. The pro of looking at the used good or used very good is that these prices actually include the shipping. Okay, so the used does not. So in some ways, it's a little more accurate. However, there's always a however or details, right? It's not always populated, and that's the problem, right? So there could be a used offer, and you're not going to see it. So the data is never perfect, right? And that's okay. Again, we don't need the data to be perfect. My recommendation, shut those off. Just let's keep it simple, right? You don't need to look at all those things. Now, okay, so that's all the lines that I think you need. We showed you how to navigate, all that good stuff. So that is the basics that you need to know as far as the chart settings go. All right, now let's go back to the sales rank. Now, I told you the sales rank isn't that important, but what is important is the sales pattern, and the sales rank line makes up the sales pattern. So that's one of the most important things you should be doing when you're looking at a book is, first of all, understanding what time of year it is, and then understanding the sales pattern of the book. So let me actually look let me look for a clear book that might be a textbook. Let me close these down, and we'll go ahead and look at the Keepa chart. I'll just randomly pick one. This should be a textbook, and it is. So I'm going to remove this. So we've just, guys, we have the sales rank line up here, the green line. So if you're not sure, one of the things you can do is, we have it set for a year, but if you had it set for, let's say, 180 days, which you can do in the settings, it would look like this, and it might be hard to tell. You don't know, is this a textbook? And then even as you click a year, well, it kind of looks like one, but then click on all, and you can see what has happened. Like years ago, it was very easy to see that, look at this, a very distinct pattern, right? This is a textbook pattern where in January and then again in August, September, lots of sales, right? Remember I said all the dips go down, those are sales, so very consistent. So, but lately, let me just double click. This is the entirety, but lately, the last couple years, it's still a textbook. It's just not as defined as it was before. Okay, so it's important to know that, right? Because you might think, for example, if we were over here. Now let me show you. So this is why I said the time of year is important. Let's assume, for example, we were in, it was right here, and you were looking at like a year, something like this. And you said if you were to look at the statistics at this time, assuming today was February 1st, whatever year this was, 2022, the book would be selling quite a bit. You might think, well, I'm going to buy this book. This book sells really fast. It looks really good. But by the time you get it to Amazon, you should have anticipated, you should have forecasted that the demand would go down, right? Because it's a textbook. So always know what book, what sales pattern the book will be. And of course, with our software, we're gonna show you that. Where is it? Yeah, we're going to show you the sales patterns of the book. Not all of them, but well, really, it's like above 85, 90% of them we're going to show you. So, and you can filter by them. So at the right time of the year, you can be looking at the right time of books and save yourself a whole bunch of time. Okay, but really important, regardless of how you're flipping books, when you get to the Keepa chart, that's what you need to look at, is you need to look at and see what kind of book is this. And that will immediately tell you. Now, let me look at a non-textbook. All right, so we classified this one as a non-textbook, although you can see that for some reason it looked like something happened in September of 2024 that made it look like it's some sort of a pattern. But The way we do this, we actually look, I told you we look at thousands of Keepa charts every week, and we do, and we classify them by actually looking at them. So we're not going to go by the title or anything else. So, but look, what's happened recently, I'm going to say that this is still a non-textbook. Yeah, so we're gonna classify this as a non-textbook. If we look over the past year, we did have that spike over there, but maybe we could call it an other, where for some reason it's selling more frequently in fourth quarter, but I don't really know that didn't really happen over here. But anyway, you get the idea. Maybe that wasn't the best example. Let me give you one more. How about this one? This one should be a non-textbook. Yeah, this will be more common where, it's just sporadically. This is an entire year. You could see all the sales and, no real pattern for sure. But let me zoom out to see. Yeah, here we go. So this would be one where, we would classify this as a non-textbook. So really important that you understand that. All right, the other thing you want to gather when reading the Keepa chart, this is a basic, is understanding the supply and the demand. And I'll get into this in other videos, but point being is when you look at it, you should say immediately, okay, what is the supply? What is the demand? Where has it been recently? Where do I think it's going? I know that's a lot. Again, I'll get into that in more videos, but we can easily get in here and look at some examples. So we have scores in here. So I'll pick one that is, I'll do an extreme. This one does not sell quickly. This demand on this book. The Keepa chart should not look, yeah. So there you go. So you could see that in the past year, it sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sold about 7 times. Not a ton. Doesn't mean it's not a, if it was such a bad flip, maybe it wouldn't be in our software. But again, the demand is just one component of why you might want to flip a book. So the point, again, we're not getting into those details on this video, but the point is that there's an example of a book that doesn't have a quick demand. Now I can find one pretty quickly where I'll find the demand score. Let's put is greater than 4. We go to 1 to 5. So these are a bunch of 5s. These should be quick selling. Let's see. And there we go. So yeah, this book sells really quick, and this is a textbook, so this book is going to be selling very quickly during textbook season. So at least you want to have a general idea. Now you can look at the, again, looking at the Keepa chart is going to tell you, if you wanted to, you could do this, right, and say, oh, what's it been the last 90 days, just for your education. But I really think you're better off just looking at the Keepa chart, and you will get a sense of the demand of the book. And the demand of the book does not always equal. A lot of people seem to think that, oh, the better the demand, the better the profit. That is not the case. Not the case at all. All right, let's look at, all right, now let's talk about the supply. So this is why we want to look at the supply, which is the bottom chart. So let me turn off the top chart. So this number on the right represents how many. So in this book right now, there's about 37 used offers. And if you were to click on Amazon and you would go to the offers and we filter it by used, we should see 37, and we do. Okay, so that's where that number comes from. And then over time, it's going to go up or down. So over time, with this particular book, you could see how years ago, and this will happen with books when they first come on the market, right? Nobody's got a used book. Every book that's ever been sent out is new, and then over time, we have people sell them or turn them in or whatever they do with them, and then we've got a bunch of used copies. So that's not unusual. Way back in 2021, there were very few, and then it jumps up and down. Okay, so you want to get a general sense of what is the supply count. Now the count is important, but also where it's been. So let me give you an example of that. We have a supply score, and I'm going to show you, I'll give you the extremes. The supply score is greater than 4. Okay, so what that means is when we click on Keepa, should mean, is the supply is really low. And that's a good thing, right? Now, there isn't a ton of data here, right? I mean, earlier this year, there were 7, now there's 1. So yeah, 1 is a lot less than 7 by a percentage, but that's not overly significant, and this wouldn't have a major impact in my mind, as far as pricing and other things. But that's the reason it would be there. Now let's look at one where the supply is, let's see, is less than 2. Let's see what one of these looks like. Okay, so this is where the supply has gone up. And this is where people, again, I'll talk more about that in other videos. But when the supply is going up, that's usually not a great sign, but that does happen when right before textbook season. That is normal, right? The sellers getting their books in there to try to sell them for the demand that is anticipated to peak up, okay? But that's just a general idea. I probably could have come up with some better examples, but some more extreme examples, but you get the idea. It's just, at least you should know and say to yourself, okay, the supply is going up. Not necessarily a bad thing, but what you'd rather have is have the supply be going down and you anticipate that the price going up. Okay. And you interpret those things by looking at the Keepa chart. But at least for now, for this video, make sure you kind of understand how to use it, how to navigate. Again, don't just look at the Keepa chart like this. You should be moving around, zooming in, zooming all the way out, understanding the sales pattern of the book. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to pick up your free Keepa download on the link below.